This is Charlie Mike, the podcast. Veterans helping veterans, talking about things happening in the veteran community, things we've experienced and overcome, such as addictions, PTSD, depression, legal trouble. And we also promote veteran-owned businesses. If you're talking about it, we're talking about it. This is Charlie Mike, the podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Charlie Mike, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Raul, and your co-host, William.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. We appreciate you guys joining us, and we're really excited for tonight.
Yeah, I definitely. It's definitely going to be a little different. Man, well, first off, how was your week?
It was good. I went back up to visit my mother-in-law. We stayed up there for a couple more days and drove back Saturday. And since then, just been trying to figure out what events we're going to do. We have a shaved ice business, lemonades, and 4th of July coming up, so it's going to be super busy for us. But we're excited.
Yeah.
What about you, man? You got some sun.
I did yesterday. I took my girls to the Schlitterbahn. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
And it was, luckily we picked a good day because it was cloudy.
Yeah. But
like around 2:00, that sun came out like bright and full. and I gave them about another hour, and I was like, it's time to go home. Yeah.
Yeah, you were unreachable yesterday.
I was. I definitely was.
Good to check out.
Yep. Man, well, golly. Okay, so
let me go ahead and take a quick break and let you guys know that this episode is brought to you by Patriot Knife Coffee Company. You can visit them at www.patriotknifecoffee.us. Tree, we appreciate you. This guy does a whole lot for veterans and first responders, and he's putting money where his mouth is and is constantly doing things for the community, and we really appreciate it. So thanks, Tree.
And that's, if you go to patriotknifecoffee.us, be sure to use your promo code Charlie Mike and save you some money.
Yeah, that's right.
That'll also let him know that you heard it from us. So.
That helps us a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
And for those of you watching live, you can see that we have a guest, and I'm getting ready to introduce you to her. But I want you guys to know that there is a number, because we are going to get into some deep conversation, that you can call. The Veteran Crisis Line is 1-800-273-8255. Press 1. Again, we're going to cover. We like to talk about what you guys are talking about. And the timing is just right for us to bring up our guest. And Raul, would you like to introduce her?
Go ahead, Will.
I don't have the notes, brother.
Oh, well, let me tell you, we met her at an event that we met our guest at an event that we were doing live on location for the Wheelchairs for Warriors, correct? And we talked a little bit, and she told us a little bit about her background. Now, she's got 30 years in law enforcement, fire, EMS, and nursing. And that is, you got it all right there.
That you rounded it out.
Yeah. It's
talk about diverse.
It's crazy.
The whole package.
You really? Now, if you just added military in there, you'd be crazy.
That's like all of
them. Everything.
Yes, and so her name is Miss Bridget Enloe.
Enloe.
Man, I was way off.
Off.
Enloe. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Have you ever done a podcast before?
I have.
All right, cool. I haven't.
2.
So, 2 of them.
2.
Good.
One day.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, really appreciate you joining us. Again, we did meet her recently. We've been in contact. We've been exchanging emails. And we're really excited to have her because of what she's doing, not just in uniform, but out of uniform.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, no problem. Go for it. And so you were here to talk a little bit about the nonprofit, which is?
It's Warriors Way Foundation.
Warriors Way Foundation.
And it's at warriorswayfoundation.com, not org, but it's at .com.
Okay. And just to highlight, this Warrior Way Foundation, their vision is to help first responder and military veterans to remember that they are not alone in their battles. Through equine participation and peer-to-peer discussion, our goal is to bring our brothers and sisters back from those battles, often left unseen, and to give them the confidence to be a warrior.
Right. So what we found, what I've seen and experienced over the last 30 years is when we have traumatic events or traumatic exposures, everybody kind of goes around you that first year and gives you a lot of support that first year. And after that 1 year anniversary, that support starts to fall off.
Okay.
And then with military friends that I have, once they leave the service, you find that the people that you were on teams with and in units with, you think that they're going to call you on your birthdays and go out on Thursdays for drinks and stuff, and that kind of falls away too once you get out. So you kind of become excommunicated in a way.
That's very interesting that you say that because, well, you've heard of Military One Source, right?
Yeah.
A lot of their services, if you guys aren't connected, they're like your active duty, they can help you. And then 1 year after, nothing.
Right.
Can't do much for you.
Right. Yeah. It's like with resiliency, it's great that first year. But that 366 day, so I was resilient. Now what?
Right.
There's not a whole lot of guidelines of what to do that second and third and fifth and 10th year when things roll around.
Right. Because you're forever changed after that traumatic event.
Right.
And you've been a part of a couple of them?
I have. Many just routine events that a lot of us see over, the course of public safety. 2009, I was a responder, a medic at Scott and White, and responded to Fort Hood at the shooting on the base. And then the second one was May 18th, 2018 at the Santa Fe High School shooting.
Right. And I can't even imagine.
No, when I was actually doing the flyer to I wouldn't say promote, but just to let people know that you were coming on the show, I wasn't sure how to word things.
Right.
Because I said, oh, don't miss it, just tune in, because a lot of times I try to think of something catchy, but it was it's difficult. It was difficult. I couldn't, I wasn't sure. How did I put it, Will? I was saying, I wasn't sure
the right words to use.
The right word, yeah. Whether it was, I wouldn't say necessarily, insensitive, like saying the right place, the wrong time, or the wrong place at
the right time.
Right.
Yeah.
And neither one of those made any sense to me. So I was like, well, I mean, that's a small thing I was thinking about.
It's very
Welcome
real.
to my world.
Yeah, I can't, I couldn't imagine just the first event at Fort Hood. I mean, we were talking about where he was and where I was, because it's an event that we will remember for the rest of our lives, because we were actually in service. I was in I had friends and family at Hood.
I did too.
Yeah. And I remember them telling us what was going on.
Yeah. So I had moved away from here up to Fort Hood to get away from the crazy Houston, just crazy calls, in a big city, and actually moved to Copper's Cove. And that morning, that was my kid's first day to go to school, left them at home, and our house bordered the base fencing.
Yeah.
So I'm at work, first day on the job up there.
First day,
first
Get
call,
out of
first
town.
call of the day. So got injured up there, came back to my hometown, went to school in Santa Fe, and just decided to go back to work for where everything began. And then that, May 18th happened. So
that's almost 10 years later too.
Yeah.
Correctly. So 2009, and then Santa Fe happened in 2018. Yeah. And this is very relevant to our stories as well, because as we all know what happened in Uvalde. And I was on the same path. Like, how do we describe this? And I don't want to say it's like the right time, but it's never the right time to talk about it. Or is it? Is it always the right time to talk about it?
I think it is the right time to talk about it. For a long time, I was always worried about putting my trauma on somebody else when I talked about it.
Right.
Even when I would go to counseling, I didn't want to. I didn't want to take my trauma and give that burden to a counselor to listen to.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I know. In some of the notes you had said that
Yeah.
you went through a few of them.
yeah, I'm on counselor number 9.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Do you go to the VA?
no.
No.
I've heard about the brown bag of medicine you get. 'Cause it's complimentary when
Yeah.
you show up.
Yeah, and we
And,
get our counselors are in and out. It's like a revolving
Yeah.
door.
I think that's there's one point to make sure you take away from this if you're out there listening is not every counselor is right for you just because you go to the first one. You know, it's going to take many attempts.
Yeah. So when I talk about it, I tell people when you go to counseling, it's like it's like buying shoes. You don't just go and pick up a pair of shoes and go buy them and take them home. You know, you
Mhm.
got to try them on and make sure they fit.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
I've had like 4 or 5 in the past.
Oh, I've had a
couple
few
years.
myself.
Yeah. You just got to picture yourself as Cinderella. You know.
Oh, I do
He's
that
very
often.
glamorous. I can see
Yeah.
that.
So so it's been a journey finding the right counselors, but I had some other people go before me that are officers that are going. We all kind of go to the same group of counselors now, and they do specifically military and first responders.
Yeah.
So they kind of get it. Most of the ones that that I've gone to, they say they get it. I went to one that she meant very, very well. She was brought in from a school shooting up north, and I'm like, well, what did you do there? And come to find out, she did rehab a mile away from the scene.
Rehab, like
It's like so basically giving water and providing nourishment and everything to the
Okay.
people that were actually on the scene. And what that did was that drove a huge wedge in honesty, and
Okay.
that's a big thing. And a lot of my trauma from the incidents that I was in, especially the most recent one, is moral injury, and that's something that there's a lot of talk about PTSD, and that kind of comes from a fear-based trauma or injury, and I think there's not a lot of talk about moral injury, but that's something that all of us, experience, especially veterans that I've talked to.
Yeah. For me, it's hard to comprehend because a lot of the trauma that I went through was overseas, right?
Yeah.
And you know, the experiences that you've had are on our home soil, and I can relate a little, but not the same.
Yeah.
But to hear the moral part of it's very interesting and intriguing to me because after reading your story, you can't help but get some of that same anger back,
Yeah.
where it's like, were you doing enough? Were we doing enough? You know, or what was going on? Like, I'm just trying to figure out my way through this, and no one's sitting to listen to me.
Yeah, it's May 18th was a different day. We did a lot of things different than most people do, or have done in the nation. Um, we disobeyed orders by taking a fire truck. We were told to stage a safe distance away. But we work really well with the officers in that city, as medics, and you eat breakfast with them, and they're your family.
hmm
So when we found out that there was an officer down at the school, we were taking the fire engine to provide cover for those officers because that's our brother in there.
Right.
you
So,
know?
for those of you who don't know, Santa Fe is a relatively small town. Would you say how many?
Yeah, about 13,000 people.
Okay. And what was your role in Santa Fe before the call?
Before the
Like,
call,
what was your position? You know?
paramedic, supervisor, firefighter.
Okay. And you did a lot of work with, of course, with the adjacent,
Cities and
right, cities, and so, what she's talking about, of course, we know is the shooting at Santa Fe, And so you kind of take us through it. I just want to describe to everybody a little bit because I know Raul and I did read it, and we don't want to go too much detail, but what she's trying to describe is giving orders to not engage, but
Right.
having the moral support of your like-minded community to say they need us there, and this is the best that we can do.
Yeah, it's that brotherhood mentality of no one left behind.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, they're our family.
Hmm.
And so,
And like we said, you did a lot. You've done more than just one role. It's not like you were just a paramedic, and so you
Right.
kind of understood,
yeah,
or you can kind of you know the process, and so you're just like, how else can I help? How can I be of service? You
yeah,
know?
there's a lot of hats worn that day.
Yeah.
I-
But the main one was to just to get care to the officer that was injured, and then see whatever else we needed, with who was injured on the scene. And because the city of Santa Fe only has 3 officers on duty at a time. And so we knew that the resources were going to be thin. The fire department's a volunteer fire department. EMS is paid, but they have 2 ambulances. So um, just resources are thin, and we knew how critical time,
Yeah.
time's pretty important.
Yeah.
Like William was saying, is that I read your story and I read it again, and then I started reading it again because it's so much.
It gets easier after page 3.
there was so
I always get
much.
lost in the acronyms too.
Yeah.
But
There was so much going on, and the okay, and I don't want to say this in any way and sound insensitive. Like, we go to war, and we don't want to lose anyone, but we know that that's a risk.
Right.
Now, being here at home, I guess you never get comfortable saying school shooting. That never is the norm. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say.
no, it's okay. I feel you, man. You're on the right path.
Yeah. No shooting should ever be normal.
Right.
Right.
Anywhere.
But we almost expect it, as first responders or even as veterans, that at one point we're going to come across death.
Right.
And you don't expect death in a school.
I think we get conditioned to, when you become adults, a lot of times, people just make bad choices. But when you're a child, you're not making any bad choices. You're just being a child. So it kind of resonates a little differently, because they're truly innocent.
Mm. And the potential,
Yeah.
the potential that every child has, no matter their situation or where they're from, it's the unrealized potential for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'd gladly give my life any day for a child, especially my own. And I can't fully comprehend the things that we're going through as a nation, and political parties aside. I just feel, there's more that we can be doing.
Yeah. Especially that we just experienced another school shooting. How I know that had to have, other than the obvious, I know it had to have effect on you. Did it bring up a lot of?
Yeah, May's a hard month anyway.
Right.
And then for that to happen a week later. And I don't ever want anybody to go through what I've gone through.
Right.
So if I can give them tools that I've figured out what work in a toolbox, I just want to leave people better than they were. And I just know the trauma that's associated with all of those. And it doesn't matter what your role, if you put hands on people or if you didn't, when you respond to those types of calls, or whether you take those calls over the phone as a dispatcher, um, you're still just as impacted.
Oh yeah,
Right.
definitely.
And Uvalde is a very, very small community. So my heart goes out to them. I can't imagine because those children were so young. And it's my heart goes out to the families and the city, and all the responders. I can't imagine what they're going through.
Yeah, when it comes to that school shooting, I don't like to think about it. Well, I don't really necessarily like to think about any school shooting, but there's still so many questions
Right.
that haven't been answered, and that is one I need to hear. I need to hear for myself, uh, for the families. It's just there was just so much that went on there, and we talk about Santa Fe. I had when I first started the podcast, I had a family come on, and it was a Christian Riley. He was actually in the Santa Fe. He passed during the shooting. And hearing his story, and they actually made a movie.
Yes.
And I got to hear the different statements from the kids, and it was a lot to take in. And being from Pearland and Santa Fe being right there, you just never expect something like this to happen close to home.
Mhm.
Or in Texas for that matter. Yeah, I don't know what I'm just saying.
No, it's you have this impenetrable feeling about us, especially you have it as a veteran, and I'm sure maybe you guys have it too as like a first responder, where you're almost impenetrable and you feel like you can handle all of it, and it's like, put it on me. Don't let it go over there. Or if everyone wants to say, if I was in that situation, I would do it differently.
Right.
It's not like that.
Mhm.
It is a very, very difficult situation that we don't wish on anybody. But the one message that we do want to get out is, if you are struggling, reach out. Okay. There are many folks, just like you that have been through some of the most traumatic events. And we want to talk to them about it, because there is power in the story.
Yeah. And it took me a little over a year before somebody told me it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And it's like that statement kind of gave me permission to start the healing process, because I was stuck. I spent almost a year sleeping in a chair at dispatch because I didn't trust myself to go home by myself. I didn't want to be alone. I didn't know really how to be alone. I developed some auditory triggers from that call. So the auditory triggers kind of carried over to the fire station. So that became an unsafe place mentally for me. And so I was really blessed to have the backing of the police department to allow me to stay up there. And it really showed the family type brotherhood, that mentality of, it really is okay to not be okay. And it really drove home the no one fights alone. And I was able to finally go back this May 18th and sit in that same chair in dispatch and take ownership of that chair and not need it to be my safe place to sleep in.
Mm.
So it's 4 years of growth.
Yeah. And reading a little about your story, just the first year is just
Hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said it. It's hell there's no going back to normal. And what she's talking about, the auditory triggers, there was I mean to speak out of place for sure, your story
No, it's
outside of
fine.
it, but it's just it's interesting because us as a veteran, I know what some guys' triggers are, right? Loud noises, explosion, gunfire, 4th of July fireworks,
Smells.
smells, trash, it's just, sometimes it can crowds. I never thought, or I could never imagine a auditory trigger being the sound of a door closing. And that was one of the things she was saying. It was just like, um, yeah, I can see why you felt comfort not putting yourself through that.
Yeah. So with those industrial doors, the doors that they have in the school are the same doors that or similar doors that we have in the fire station. So that
Right.
same latching noise became a source of
Yeah,
basically hell.
the anxiety coming
Yeah.
back, the flashbacks, I mean, because a trigger, everybody's downplayed being triggered, but a trigger can just send you back to that moment. That's why it's called a flashback. Your heart rate will go back up. You'll start thinking, you'll be right back in that fight or flight mode again. And and you're mentally, logically that you're in a safe space, but your body doesn't. You're reacting to, just to the door latching.
Yeah. And you have to have doors.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, there's a door. But I learned a lot about box breathing. I learned how
Why don't you
to,
describe that a little bit to us?
so box breathing is where, to me, you take a breath in for
Right.
4 seconds, you breathe it out for 4. Well, you take a breath in for 4, you hold it for 4, you breathe it out for 4, you hold it for 4, and you breathe it in, back in for 4. So you create that box. And what that does is it resets that OODA loop in your
Right.
brain, that circle of thinking that we can get trapped in sometimes. And I don't know how it does it, but it works.
No, it's this was something. I've heard Brene Brown talk about it before too, but I've heard a lot of special forces guys talk about it, and it's an active thing. I actually do it when I sleep.
Yeah.
So when I go to lay down and I put my mask on and all that jazz, I run through the box breathing, and it's breathe in for a 4 second, hold it for 4 second, breathe out for 4 second, and then you hold that exhale for 4 seconds before you start again.
Right.
So that's one thing that you're using to kind of help take control of your body again.
Yeah, and that's something I still use. I found out last week I had a new trigger, and it was the sound of aluminum going across the floor, and
Like
from
a scrape?
shell casings being kicked across the floor. I can't really go into why that's a trigger, because of the investigation is still active, but just hearing the aluminum sound being kicked across the floor. I've never had that trigger before until last Monday and Tuesday.
Right. So
And-
it's almost like you start mastering one of them, and then another
And
one
something
kind
else
of comes
pops up.
up.
Yeah. But I was able to recognize that one really quickly, and started the box breathing, walked away from the situation. And then once I identified it, came back and kind of took control over it, and it was okay from that point on.
The thing with PTSD is a lot of people don't know that they have it or that they experiencing symptoms of it. I know veterans are a lot. I'm sure first responders are the same way. We're stubborn.
Yeah.
And we feel like, it's our pain. We can fix ourselves.
Right. For us to deal with it by ourselves. Yeah.
Right.
Well, we think it's our burden to bear.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think we have the mentality that, we signed up for this. But we also signed up to give ourselves self-love and self-care, which means asking for help when we need help. And that's the hardest battle of it all, is being able to actually ask for help, because we don't do well with being vulnerable. And that's having to let your guard down,
No, you're
So-
absolutely right. I talk about vulnerability often because it's hard, but there's no trust without vulnerability.
Right.
There's no courage without vulnerability. You know, it takes a extreme amount of courage to be vulnerable. And we appreciate you coming on. So thanks again in case we don't close it out that way. I don't
Yeah. Tell us. Okay. So how did Warriors Way come to be?
So, I was pretty insistent about wanting to talk about my experiences. Anybody that would listen, I just wanted to talk to. And what I started realizing is when I would talk and tell my story, somebody else would tell their story back. And it just seemed very therapeutic.
I see.
And so with Warriors Way, how it was formed was just the frustration of not having a counselor that really got it. And not having that trusted person to talk to. So it kind of just developed talking to our peers. And so when we realized when I would talk to people, then other people would share their stories. And then another person would share their story. And I spoke at a conference last year, and the topic was, so I was resilient, now what? And it was kind of born out of the frustration of, I don't know what to do after being resilient. There's no playbook on how to do this.
Right.
And so my speech was a little short. And after I shared my story, I invited anybody else that wanted to stand up and talk to share their story, because it was a safe place. And person after person after person would stand up and they started sharing their story. And a military guy came up afterwards and he said, class really began when you stopped talking. And I don't know if it was because my my presentation was so bad.
No,
no, come on.
But
the connection.
It really drove home how important it is to just to be able to share your story. And one of the things I always say is, when I tell my story and somebody else tells theirs, it allows you to realize you're not the only unicorn in the forest.
Right.
We're all a bunch of unicorns. We just hide really well. And it just developed out of that. And then I've watched a lot of things with equine therapy. Mm-hmm. And we brought a horse into an arena. And we had a couple of people sit around, and the horse will actually go and find the ones that are struggling the most. I don't know how they know how to do it, but they do. And they just kind of spend time with that person while they're telling their story and things like that. And so yeah, that's how I was born.
Wow. I think one of the important point to take away from that is once she shared her story, others started sharing theirs too. Yeah. And so there's the point where the courage really comes out. It's being saying, this is me. And then once you stop that, the other person is like, hey, well, that's me too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power in that. That was really good.
And that was one of the main reasons we started this podcast, was so that we could share our story and that others would feel some type of impact in it and willing to share their stories.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we kept expressing to the people who watch the podcast or listen to it, was it's okay.
Yeah.
Not to be okay. And I love hearing you say it, because it feels close to home.
Yeah. When that was told to me, it was actually told to me May 10th, 2019. I remember the exact day it was told to me, and it changed my life forever. Just that simple one sentence was just profound, and it was probably the best gift I've ever been given.
Okay. I do a lot of apparel, and that's one of my most commented t-shirts, regardless of where I go. if I'm walking in a store or something, like, oh yeah, I like that, or airports or whatever the case may be. Kyle's in a unicorn.
See, there's more of us.
Yeah, you got
But yeah, go ahead. You want to throw that question up? So somebody asked, what advice would you give the younger folks that have some of your similar experiences? It's 2 parts. So would you allow them to take their time to get help, or would you use kind of a coercive leadership to ensure they get help?
I think that's a big question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take it in steps. So what advice would you have for somebody younger folks who have a similar experience?
The good thing with younger folks, I think they're more comfortable sharing their voice. I think they have one up on us where they're more accustomed to speaking their mind. Because
interesting.
we've all came from the adage of, suck it up, buttercup.
yeah.
And just be honest with yourself. If you start to struggle, let somebody know. But I think we have a responsibility as leaders too to set that example.
Right.
So I think if we're open about seeking help or open about, the times that we struggle, if we do that and we're transparent about asking for help or guidance and things like that, then we're giving them the path to walk that's healthy.
I think that's a really fascinating thing too, because you're coming from a point of experience, and a lot of time in the veteran community, in the military community, that NCO that has a couple of deployments is in the same spot, and then you'll get that fresh officer, that has that, they may know the best way to do this, and it's like, hey, you know what? I've got the experience. Why don't you sit down and let me show you how it's done? But leading the way, that's a good point.
And-
Is to talk about it.
So when you lead the way, I don't think a leader needs, you don't need an alphabet behind your name to lead. Some of the best people that have led me have been just regular people. And even if you think nobody is watching, somebody is watching you.
Yeah.
And it goes back to integrity. If you have integrity, and if you're just transparent with things, then it not only helps you heal, because eventually we're all going to get old, and those people that are watching us and learning from us right now are going to be the ones taking care of us. So I'd hope that we would have some understanding people.
Yeah, it's to make the world a little better.
Yeah.
My goal is to make those that come after me or those that I influence better than where I am.
So
we said it a couple of weeks ago, like, be so busy having other people successful that you ain't worried about your own success.
Yeah.
and so
100%.
so my daughter's a first responder.
Oh, wow.
Also. And one of the things that we started to do was to sort of groom her into every morning before she would get to work, we would have a phone call just to get the day started right mindset, especially being new into public service. And then on the way home from her shift, she would always stop by and we would do almost a debrief every single shift. And it got her in that mindset. It's okay to talk about things. And once the people at work started seeing her being open and sharing about things,
Mhm.
it was just a ripple effect. Everybody started sharing and talking, and they would just sit around and have kind of group meetings, kind of.
Mhm.
But they would just talk about everything. So it goes back to that lead by example.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you hit it right on its head. It is leading by example, and in the military we have a pre-brief and an AAR, and it's fantastic to hear it used its use in other areas as well.
Right.
Like, as a veteran, if you're watching this, you have skills that you don't realize. We're used to the pre-brief, the post-brief, the post-brief, the AAR. Like, you can bring that to the table because it's useful. And if you're not a veteran and you're just watching, thank you. But that's something that
Or
kind of
first responders.
Yeah, first
Yeah.
responders.
Yeah,
That-
of
we
course.
appreciate you guys for watching, but that's one thing you can do. That it we try to do it with our show as well. And it affects across the board.
Right.
If we talk about the show before it, it's a better show, and then we talk about it afterwards. It's like, okay, this is what we can do better next time, and it's a small action step that we can kind of implement right away.
John said you've been a rock for some of them.
Thank you.
So that's people notice what you've done and what you continue to do, and sharing your story helps a lot of individuals, like we were speaking of, and it lets them know it's okay to share theirs as well, and that's it's powerful.
And I think we've all been given you have a calling on your heart to do what we do, whether it's military or public service. I think you have to have a certain calling on your heart to do this every day, and do it with a passion.
Mhm.
And you can see who has passion and who doesn't.
Oh yeah.
The ones with passion are always training, always trying to do better, always trying to leave the younger generation better than we are. And there's a saying on that we have that's kind of the mantra of our foundation. It's a Heraclides quote about being the warrior and being the one that brings the others back. So when you tell your story, you're kind of bringing those others back, the ones that stray off the path or kind of get lost, because they're still fighters. They just lost their way, and sometimes you need to be that warrior for them. And going through traumatic events is painful, but I've learned that keeping it bottled up inside is a lot more painful.
Right.
It is. It definitely is. And a lot of us lead to different outlets to deal with that. There comes substance abuse, if it's alcohol, drugs. There's so many ways that we try to make ourselves feel
Better.
normal or better. And we think that it's the right thing to do until, reality smacks you across the face.
Yeah.
Like, no, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
This isn't it.
And it wakes you up. Like I have a past, and I've been in trouble with the police.
I like the quotation.
Yeah. I tried to hide my struggles with alcohol, and it led to me getting a DWI, and then it led me to veterans court, and veterans court led me to treatment, and treatment led me to sobriety. And it kind of, like I said, I've always said that I've had a good heart. I've always had a good heart, but now that I'm sober, it's even better.
Yeah.
And I struggled with alcohol the year after Santa Fe.
Yes.
And my kids are watching, so they know. And I tried to do anything I could to just to numb that pain.
Right.
And honestly, I just wanted 4 to 5 hours of sleep.
I know.
And and so I just got tired of it.
Yeah. And we talk about that a lot too when it comes to sobriety, or there comes a point where you have to get tired of it,
Yeah.
like you can't help somebody that's not tired of it yet. Like you have to get physically, either shaken or woken up or some hardships put onto you. And you're like, okay, I'm tired of this. I got to do something about it. And so there are a lot of organizations out there. Warriors Way is definitely one of them. Can you tell us how to get in touch with you guys?
Sure. So you can go to info@warriorswayfoundation.com. That's our email address. We can also give phone numbers out if you'd like. Phone number is 832-707-0308.
One more time.
832-707-0308.
And this is man 24 hours or
24 hours.
so if you're in distress, all right, first responder, veteran, anybody, first responder or veteran, and you want more information, you can contact them at info@warriorswayfoundation.com. Or if you are and you need help and you need someone to talk to, please reach out 832-707-0308. That's awesome.
So tell us what the plan is with the foundation. The plan as of now,
Right.
future.
Any events you got coming up?
So we do. We've been gifted a horse to help with our work,
Cool.
possibly
Amazing.
2. So we're going to try and do some fundraising to kind of get that horse sponsored. To horses like to eat,
What?
and so we're going to
Just
try
call
and
me a horse.
So we're going to try and get that sponsored, and we actually have a work day coming up Saturday on the 9th. It's open to anybody that wants to come out, spend some time with some horses. You don't have to need peer support.
Mhm.
If you just want to come out and do some volunteer work, we would love to have you out there. It also benefits a sister foundation that works with equines and children with autism. So,
when I was in San Antonio, there was a day like that. I remember my kids were still young, or my oldest 2 were still younger. And it worked wonders. They were
Yeah.
painting on them and coloring. And it was quite fascinating to see what this massive beast of a horse can be or do around how they affect humans and how they're just
Yeah,
really keyed
absolutely.
into us.
And then also we have August 19th. We are looking at doing a social event just to have veterans and first responders, just kind of a get together fellowship type event. Because I think when you get out of those services, you kind of lose that group that you just call home.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and that will be at Saloon Door Brewing in Webster.
Do they allow cigars?
They do, and we're also working with one of the cigar shops in League City. I know y'all like cigars.
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, I do. So the 19th. Okay, that's a Friday.
That's a
I'm
Friday.
gonna put it on the calendar, Raul.
He helps me with my calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I don't put it on there, he ain't going.
That's a fact. So okay. So did we have a location for the first event?
So the first event is I can give you the address.
We'll make a
Okay.
post about it too.
Yeah,
that way we can share.
It's also so we have a Facebook page and Instagram. It's also on those, but it'll be located in Rocheron, Texas, so not far from
cool.
here.
Right.
Um,
Nothing's really far from us.
Brookside's not that big.
Because you don't drive.
Well, we're actually from Pearland, so I mean Brookside, Pearland, same thing. But I'm a few.
Not really.
No, I was being nice to Brookside. I'm actually further into Pearland, and so is William. Yeah. So we're further into Pearland, but so finish saying, did we have a location for the first event?
We do. So the first event will be in Rocheron, kind of at 1462 and 288 in that general area. That address will be posted on our Facebook page. It'll be from 8 a.m. to noon.
Okay.
Hopefully before it gets stupid hot outside.
Yeah. That's been happening quick.
But I mean, if you get too hot, I mean, I'm a medic, so we got you covered.
I got you.
There's no excuse not to come out and help.
And come on, get a free IV.
Yeah.
It may not be enjoyable, but she get one.
Right. And the second event is going to be in Webster. We're just waiting on the finality of that.
Awesome.
And that's open to everybody. The third event is kind of tailored for you guys since we love cigars, and I will let y'all know so y'all can push that out when
Yeah.
that's on the books.
Yeah, that's our goal, is to try to get out more, bring a little more awareness, whatever reach we have. Like I said, it's all you guys, so that we can share the good work that you guys are doing.
And we're hoping to do these social events once a month.
Mhm.
That way you have that support group or that network of people. One of the other board members, they live in San Marcos, so we're going to try and reach out and have some social events out there as well.
Yeah.
I like that city.
That's nice.
I like it out there.
I'm sure I've been there or passed by.
Passed through it.
Yeah. So are you? Have you reached out to the Houston Veteran Chamber of Commerce?
Not yet.
You need to. Those guys will be able to help you.
They're coming on next week.
Oh, they are. Yeah. They'll be able to help you with a lot of that. There's between Dave and John.
Yeah.
They're great people with a lot of knowledge.
I wouldn't say all that.
Well, okay. Well, John's got a lot of knowledge.
They're not here yet.
Yeah. John's got a lot of knowledge, and Dave is good people.
I don't know. I paid a lot of money for that cigar ashtray.
Oh, you
you
got
bought
it.
it?
I was betting on it.
He was.
It was you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I bet on
He
that.
he kept like,
I was like, oh no, that's way out of my league.
yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ashtray is super cool.
We were talking about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
$400.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that ashtray was super cool. Though.
Yeah.
So there's a meeting. Normally I wouldn't spend money on something like that, but it was put on my heart that day to get that ashtray. So that ashtray will go to every social event that we go to.
Sweet.
And that ashtray will symbolize the ones that didn't come home. So that will travel with us everywhere. So
And there's no way I was going to beat that. So the ashtray she's talking about is from Warfighter Tobacco,
Yes.
and it's the end of a tank round and it's heavy.
Yeah,
It's heavy, and it's one of the coolest things. And I was telling my wife that, like, man, I've been eyeing it for a couple of years, and it was there, and I was like, maybe, like, nope, definitely not.
Yeah, I love going to Warfighter Tobacco. They're good people out in San Antonio. They're all always there, like the owners and things. They got a nice setup, and we actually had one of the owners on the show, and he's now a famous movie star actor. Yeah. But that was awesome. He was actually he raised the price on that, so you be angry with him. Tell me
my bad.
Tell him he owes you some money.
All right. I'll definitely go to the event then.
Right?
I'll be there.
Yeah. William, who asked that question, said thank you for sharing, and he keep going.
Thank you.
I actually served in Iraq with William. He's a good dude. Been friends since we were privates. Yeah. I think he's a sergeant for his class.
The first and the second time.
No.
Just kidding.
The first time. Yeah, there was 3. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. No, I got a few personal questions. So you just say you have your kids. So how many kids do you have?
I have 3, 2 girls and a boy, 29, 28, and oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Oh, put her on.
Oh, I'm so
Usually
in
that's
trouble.
a dance.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry. I'm just messing.
29, 27, and 26.
All right.
If they're not that age this year, they were
Yeah, there
last
you go.
year.
Look at that.
There you go.
26.
So my youngest is 26.
Okay.
He just called me out for it.
Yeah, he was there. That's funny.
And one of them is a first responder.
Yes. She is a firefighter intermediate. They've all grown up in the firehouse or around around public service. So yeah, she's following in mom's footsteps.
I know for sure one of mine is going to join the service. I'm not sure which one, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, she told me a couple of months ago she wanted to be a police officer.
Like, why would you want to go do that?
Yeah.
Your heart your heart wants what it wants.
Yeah, and when I asked her that, she her response was, "Mom, if not me, then who?"
Mm.
So I'm like, okay,
Damn.
yeah. I mean, you can't really argue with that.
Now you
so,
can't. Now I think they studied that answer.
Yeah.
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 So was that okay? So was that in the family? Law enforcement, military?
So my dad was in the military.
What branch?
Just want
A
to judge.
lot.
Well, okay. Yeah.
So he joined the army.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
Good
what
dude.
that's what
Good dude.
matters.
and then within a year transferred to the Marines.
What?
Oh,
I'm
no.
not sure how that
Go
works.
backwards.
Yeah.
But he did. He spent many years in Vietnam.
Oh wow.
And had Agent Orange when he came home. He passed when he was 35.
Oh my God.
Back
dang.
in 85. And one of the things I remember from his funeral, I was 13, but there was somebody from every branch of the military at his funeral, and then they had the flyover. So it impacted me then, but I didn't realize why.
Right.
But I watched him struggle with PTSD after getting out, but I didn't know what it was because it wasn't talked about back then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the only service. My mom's a nurse. Yeah, other than that, there's no. I'm the rebel.
Well, not
Yeah.
necessarily. You did it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to get all the low paying jobs out of the way.
That's how you know you really want it.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
That's how you know you really want it. Like
Yeah.
I do it because the pay's not there.
Right.
Oh yeah, you in it.
Yep. It's not a profession that you're gonna get rich in.
No, and I still wake up every single day and love what I do.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, and as bad as Santa Fe was, and as bad as the other calls were, it's really been a silver lining to allow me to speak to other people that are struggling also. So it's hard to say that it's a blessing because it's none of those days are ever blessings.
Right.
But just seeing people that I know that have been struggling for so many years, that me finding a voice, and a lot of times it's shaky or filled with tears or whatever, but seeing them heal through it. I would go through everything all over every day and not change a thing.
So that they can get help.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
damn.
it makes sense. I teach resiliency. You spoke about it before.
I hate that word.
Yeah. But to some of the youth, and I told them the same thing. I was like, I want to hear something that you don't think is a positive, and let me see if I can help you with that. And she did. The young lady definitely did challenge me. But I went around the same path you did.
Yeah.
It's just, I know it was a horrible situation, and I'm sorry for that. I said, but I know you'll be the rock for somebody else.
Yeah.
You're going to be the light for somebody else, and that's what you're doing, and it's awesome to see you.
Yeah, we it's all about being a shepherd.
Mm.
I think everybody is, we're all each other's brothers keepers, but it's about being that good shepherd to the rest of the ones. And like I said, when those that kind of get lost or stray off the path struggle, then it's on us to stand up and bring those others back.
Yeah.
I feel like you're gonna cry.
No, I'm good. It's just like everything.
I feel like that all the time.
Everything you said is had an impact, and like I said, I read your story quite a bit, and I'm not saying that maybe I did, maybe I didn't cry, but I don't do emotions.
I do all of them.
Yeah, but golly, we really appreciate you being here today and sharing. It's we look forward to working with you guys in the future, and not just the podcast. We'll talk about it offline.
We'll
Yeah.
find a way.
Yeah, but Will's got a couple questions for you.
I'm full of questions. You know, so we talked about your kids, but I gotta know: are there any books that you recommend for somebody struggling? Has there been something or a quote that you kind of hold on to? I mean, I know you said Heracles.
So a book that helped me my first year is Excommunicated Warrior by, and I'm going to butcher his last name.
Sorry, I can find it.
That's all we do.
Yeah. Nick Kumalatos. He was a Red Ranger or Red Raider. And he kind of wrote a book about how he struggled when he got out. And all the struggles he went through with depression and everything else. And he thought life would continue like it did when he was in. And he said when he turned his cards in and the gate shut behind him, life changed forever. And that's kind of what I experienced. Just some of the similar feelings. There's a book that was suggested that I'm reading right now. It is called The Obstacle is the Way. And I can't think of
I've heard of that one.
It's a really good one. Yep, that's a book.
Yeah. So Excommunicated Warrior. I think it's the 7 stages of transition.
Yes.
And it looks like special warfare. I can't tell you which symbol that is though.
Marines.
And the last name is Koumalatsos.
Oh,
Nick,
say it really fast.
Yeah.
Good
job. I've actually corresponded with him through email.
Oh, really? Wow.
Really, really great guy. He has Facebook, everything else, and The Obstacle is the Way is the other one.
Ryan Holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Craig just said it right
Yeah.
here.
That's
Yeah.
so wicked guy. Of course, Craig knows
Yeah,
it.
Craig knows it all.
So that one.
Yeah, the obstacle is the way.
And then one that the retired San Antonio officer suggested to me is The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins.
Oh yeah, I freaking love
Yeah.
Mel Robbins.
Yeah. So on my mirror at home, I've taken a dry erase marker
Mhm.
and outlined my hand on my bathroom mirror so I
Yeah.
know to high five myself every morning.
That's it.
Yeah. To kind of cap on that, there's a lot of she does a fantastic job because she's like a lawyer. She does a lot of research into what this actually does for you. And I've actually done it a few times, you know, but it goes along the lines of affirmations. So I'll do it when I'm brushing my teeth at the end of the day, and I'm like, you know, you've got this day, and then the high fives, and man, it works.
Yeah.
It works. My wife and I, when we lived in San Antonio, we were real big on hugs, and I would tell everybody I worked with, like, the human person needs 8 hugs a day just to sustain, you know, to keep their mood, and it's 12 for growth. And I'm blessed because I have a lot of kids at home, so I get at least 4 as soon as I get home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but the high five habit is fantastic. Her first book called The 5-Second Rule.
Yes.
Talk about creating action, man. See, we can talk all day long about that one too.
Oh, so that explains your hugging.
Oh man, I'm a huge hugger. My family hugs a lot. I love hugs.
I thought it was just me.
No, I mean, you're okay. You're kind of like the side tap guy. Like, oh yeah, here's my hug. Get away from me.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. Those are great. I'm gonna have to check those out. Those other 2.
And then I journal every day. Well, except this last week, I kind of fell off the wagon, but
But now here's
yeah,
your reminder to get back on it.
yeah. So yeah, my counselor told me and I said, well, I haven't journaled, you know, since Monday. And she's like, oh no, that was just yesterday. And I'm like, no, last Monday. And she's like, go home and journal. Okay.
Hey, there's power in writing it down, you know.
Yes.
And you did a fantastic job with writing your story to us, and I can imagine the work that goes into it.
That was written in one setting.
Oh man.
And it was so cathartic to just get everything out.
Mhm.
And then when I was done with that, I was like, oh my God, how many pages is that? But yeah, once I sat down and committed to letting those feelings out and remembering everything, I didn't want to get up and go to the bathroom. I didn't want to get up and get a drink. I just wanted to just complete that task.
Right.
and I'm very, very task driven. So yeah, once it was done, I was like, oh, now I can breathe.
Mhm.
So after everything is said and done, do you think maybe a book of some sort would be in your future?
So you're probably the 30th person to like say that. There's another book.
Starting your
Oh
sheet.
yeah. The objective. Oh, and I should know this because it's sitting right next to my bed. So the person, you can look it up because I don't want to say wrong. Um,
Where you at, Craig?
yeah.
The objective of my affection. No, that's a film.
No. No, I'm not reading that next to my bed.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Here, let me write it. Change your pen. Because I'll mess up his name too.
So once again, we are joined by Nick Lavery.
Yeah.
I don't mind messing people's names up. Clearly, somebody will correct me and give me something to talk about. Oh, he's a Green Beret. Objective secure?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why my mind went blank. If you ever get a chance to listen to his story or meet him, fantastic, fantastic guy, monster of a guy. If you
That's how I hope people describe me.
yeah, if you pull up a picture and look at him, he's a little intimidating.
All right, I'm gonna have to do that.
His story is fantastic, and super sweet guy. But yeah, his book is one of my probably top 3.
Right.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
And the reason why I bring all these up is because books are somebody else's story for you to read. And there's plenty of places to get them. They're usually pretty cheap. There's great libraries everywhere. And it's a perspective that we haven't achieved yet. And like we've said throughout the entire podcast, there's power in story and in sharing your story. And these are their stories that they've suffered, and maybe one of these books you'll pick up and read and you'll learn something about your own self.
Yeah, so all these books, I'll get the book and get the audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have somebody read it for me for the big words.
Yep.
And but I'll highlight and I make notes in the sides and
yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
similar. I'll do the same thing. I'll do the audible and read it and highlight it, and then we'll come back to
Yeah.
it. Because I used to drive a lot and I'll drive everywhere, but I like it.
He did know.
Of course
Yeah,
he does.
y'all should have him on your podcast.
He was. Yeah. You know what? I messed up the podcast because of audio issues. The first like 4 minutes of his podcast.
But the audio came out fine.
Well, because
It was the video part that was messed up.
Was it?
We're a bunch of rookies here.
Oh, he said he Googled it. That's cheating. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we really appreciate your time. This has been a fantastic conversation. I just want to give some quick highlights again.
Yeah.
If you're looking for help, info at warriorswayfoundation.com. That 24-hour access phone is 832-707-0308. If you're a veteran in crisis, do you have the number for me? Can you pull it up? I keep forgetting that one. It's a 1-800-273-8255. Press 1. We kind of did deep into some deep conversations here, and appreciate you hanging out with us. And so just know that there are a lot of folks out there who want to see you win. As low as it may seem, it's very difficult to admit you need help, but it's okay to not be okay.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it is. Yes, it is. And you have any final last words you'd like to say?
So I just want to say that we are not counselors.
Right.
We're people who've been down that road, that have similar stories. So I don't want to give the impression that we're counselors, but
that sometimes the ear and knowing that person knows yes, is all
Yeah.
that's needed.
It's all about having that battle buddy,
It is.
you know.
Yeah, it definitely is. And
And that's a new concept of first responders is battle buddies.
really,
Yeah.
are you? Yeah,
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's actually drained in us.
Yeah.
As military, battle buddy.
Yeah. As soon as you get there,
Yeah.
no, you don't go anywhere alone.
Yeah,
Anywhere.
That's crazy. And so, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, I was
No, last minute.
Yeah, any last
good.
minute things you'd like to say, Will?
No, I've covered it all, man. You know me, I can get up here and keep talking. I really appreciate you guys listening. This has been a fantastic episode. Thank you again, Miss Bridget.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
I appreciate you being here, and thank you. Please, we want you to come back, and we want to share more information about what you got going on, because we want to help in any way possible. And you know, it's like William was saying, we talked about some sensitive subjects. So if you need help, please reach out. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to say you need it. Veterans, first responders, everyone. And if you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I just want to say, if you ask for help and it's not the right fit for you, that's not a personal reflection of the person asking for help. That it's just not, that shoe just doesn't fit you that day. So
yeah, you may have to try again. Nobody gets it right on the first time.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And with that, guys, we're going to close it out. So if we'll have this available on podcast platform as of tomorrow. So we thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe, like, share, and continue
to fight.
Continue to fight. Don't give up. And as always, Charlie Mike.